Klip's head slipped from the supporting leg. The sudden motion startled him, and he sprang back to wakefulness. Looking around, he saw the Hall of the Reaper. It was a tall building. The walls were built a bit too thick for his liking, too much unused space. However, this did give the building a certain strength that others lacked, especially with the rock mixed in. Most buildings in Gamid's East City were multi-leveled structures with a strong emphasis on efficiency. On the other claw, the Hall of the Reaper was tall inside and led up to a flat wooden ceiling. From the outside, Klip remembered the building had a cone-shaped top with shingles. There must be something up there, he thought. Inside the Hall of the Reaper was just as plain as the outside. The Reapers did not care to embellish anything. Klip expected a holy place of worship to house many kinds of fine wares and extravagant designs. Somehow the Reaper missed, or maybe rejected, that practice. Even the robes that they wore were simple and clay-colored. "You think they would decorate a thing or two," Klip said, leaning over to Quill. Quill sat with perfect posture and did not dare to show that he was getting drowsy. "They don't believe in art," he said. "They say that beauty is temporary. In fact, they believe that most things are temporary, and that life ought to be dedicated to more eternal purposes." "This wait doesn't feel temporary," Klip said. "By the pile, we've been here for 4 chimes already." "Peace, Klip," Quill said. "We cannot squash our chances just because the wait is long. Besides, what else would you be doing? Does the garden really take so much of your time? I thought that Sammy had it mostly under control." "She does," Klip said. "But I don't like to be late," he thought. "He won't understand unless you tell him," Maki, the voice in Klip's head, said. "I'm not telling anyone about her," Klip thought. "Not until the girls know." "At this rate, no one will know," Maki said. "You said you would tell Dim, but then only hinted at it. And it was just a letter." "Stop making sense," Klip thought, shaking his head. "How is Maki?" Quill said. "You make it so obvious when you speak with him. The conversation is practically written on your antennae." "Oh, well, he's fine," Klip said, realizing how transparent he was. "He seems to be getting on your nerves," Quill said. "Perhaps it isn't his fault that he sounds like your father. Don't blame him. He's just a voice, after all." "You tell him," Maki said. "I'm not mad that he sounds like my father," Klip said. "He's always sounded that way. He just thinks I should." He trailed off, realizing what he was about to say. "Never mind." "I was so close that time," Quill said. "You'll know soon enough," Klip said. "Or you may never know." "Which would you like?" Quill said, rolling his antennae. "For me to know, or just know that you are not telling me something?" He folded his arms, smashing one of the front pockets on the shoulder strap he wore. The strap was an exact match to the one Klip had on. Quill lifted his arms away when he realized what he had done, and pulled at the pouch to straighten it out, ensuring the fabric held its form. Klip still remembered when that pouch had been given to Quill. It still made his antennae roll back that Dim would hand Quill a gift and say it was from Klip. It wasn't. All the same, Quill felt accepted by Klip, and ever since then, Klip could not get rid of the aging politician. The inclusion of Quill in this manner had won Klip a friend he didn't know he needed. When Klip's father died, Quill was the only one he could confide in. The girls had no clue of how Klip was raised and what part his father played in that. But Quill did. To Klip's surprise, Quill, the principled beetle who disagreed with everything Maki did or stood for, still offered condolences and a hug when Klip needed it most. Klip shook his head. I was going to tell the girls first, he thought. I've met someone, Klip said. Quill only gave a sideways look back to Klip. I like her, Quill, Klip continued. I was going to tell the girls first. They deserve to meet her, and they need to approve of her, too. The expression on Quill's face softened. You'd leave her if the girls didn't approve? Of course, Klip said, but I'd rather they give their approval. Quill set two of his beetled arms on Klip's small back. You sly little no-horn, he said. What? Klip said. You female wooer, Quill continued. How did you find a cricket that wasn't related to you in this city? Or did you? Klip swallowed. He wasn't planning on sharing this part, but now that he was this far, he did not see any way out. She isn't a cricket, he said. Quill thought for a moment. Oh, of course, he said. Sammy and Maymay aren't even crickets. I should have known you had exotic tastes. I never knew their mother, Klip said. They're purebred as far as I know, and her race will just have to be a surprise. She's a beetle, isn't she? Quill said. No, you'll just have to wait and find out. Grasshopper? No, I'd never. A fly. Quill, not a roller. Klip breathed in deeply. I'll tell you later, Klip said, nudging Quill and nodding at the procession of reaper beetles advancing towards them. To be continued, Quill said as he chuckled. I'm very excited to meet her. Quill and Klip stood. Klip watched Quill to copy his pleasantries. It was always such a different greeting based on who it was that they were lobbying that day. He was glad they did not have to bring a gift this time, like when they met with the rollers. He still felt like he could smell the gift on his claws. Diplomat Quill and Mud Master Klip, a reaper beetle said, bowing to them. This is Thelic, our appointed leader over matters of war. Klip watched as Quill grabbed his green robe by the collar and did a short bow. Klip followed suit with his matte black cloak. Welcome, Thelic said, though he didn't seem welcoming. What brings mud to the reaper? Shall we discuss in private? Quill said. Here's fine, Thelic said. We keep no secrets from one another. We are of one mind here. Well, Quill said, noticeably bothered and speaking in a lower tone. Mud, as you may know, is currently in a conflict with one of the United Colonies. Which one? Thelic said. Colony 7, Quill said. We've taken in several stags and angered them. And you would like the might of the Reaper to aid you in defending against the colony? Thelic said. Well, yes, and you are aware of the history between the Reaper and the ants, correct? I believe so, Quill said. Then you are either a fool or think I am, Thelic said. The ants slaughtered so many of my kind. They tortured us to no end. It is not wise to oppose the United Colonies for most. But we have more information to share, if you would allow it, Thelic, Quill said. Go on, Thelic said, looking away and flipping his antennae back. Mud has developed an elixir, Quill said, a potion, if you will, a method of healing one's body rapidly in battle. We have used these potions to defend against the ants to great success. If we only had further support militarily, then we could more fully vanquish our enemies. Mud has never aimed to be a military power, you see. They are bankers at heart, merchants. Power to heal one's body is something indeed, Thelic said, more interested than before. One of his counselors whispered to him. Klip looked between the two reaper beetles whispering and swallowed, as he could not tell the difference between them. Show us this elixir you've made. I presume you have it. We don't have any spare potions to show, Klip said. We're using them on the front line. We have suffered much in the conflict. We really have none to spare." "I trust you'll understand, then," Thelic said, "that we cannot trust what we cannot verify." "We've held off the ants for many months now," Klip said. "There is nothing secret about what our potions can do and where we use them. They are valuable to the lives of our fellow citizens. We can't be wasteful. The fact that we have withstood the ants for so long should be proof enough." "How long have you resisted their siege?" Thelic said. 11 months now," Klip said. "That's quite doable against the ants with good fortification. Impressive, yes, very impressive, but doable without any elixir." "My Lord Reaver beetles," Quill said, holding up his 4 beetle arms to stop them from leaving. "We come to you for aid, and have every intention to compensate that support." "Mineral is fleeting to us," Thelic said. "It is so temporary. We have no need of the temporary." "Not even if we share the potions with your soldiers?" Quill said. "I admit," Thelic said, "such potions would be desirable. We have a glorious cause, and we would put them to excellent use, if they were real." "What proof do you require for your aid?" Quill said. "Short of seeing the potions ourselves," Thelic said, "we would consider it again if we saw a great victory that only the potions could explain. Until then, we have much business to be about." Thelic waved a claw, and guards came and escorted Klip and Quill from the hall. Klip thought it would get easier being turned away by every political power in East City. "When I was little, I sold love potions in these streets," he said after the guards directed him and Quill out. "It was easy work compared to this." "Selling something real is much more difficult than something false," Quill said, chuckling. Klip sighed as the wooden doors to the Reaper's hall were shut tight behind him. That door was the only sign that the Reaper kept up with the technologies. Maybe the practice of rolling a dirt clod back and forth was too tedious and temporary for their eternal purposes, he thought. "I can't believe we got turned away again." The sky of East City was busy with the insects flying about, and most of them were plagued by flies. The flies didn't abide by any rules, and were causing their usual havoc, landing where they shouldn't, bothering everyone with their smelly bodies and feet, and vomiting on whatever they deemed as food. "On the contrary," Quill said, batting a fly from his face, "that visit was one of the more promising ones." "I've had more success selling fly frass," Klip said. "They said no." "They said maybe," Quill corrected. "And maybe is the best answer we've received from any chancellor in Gamede." Klip and Quill began walking down the busy street. Insects of all kinds bumped into each other as they bustled along, or fought off the flies. "I have something I want to talk to you about," Klip said. "Let's talk about it once we get back to the rental."